All right, welcome back to It's Time Picks. We've got UFC Vegas 94, Lemos versus Jandiroba. Overall, the card is lacking in a lot of things, but a fight card is a fight card. Joey, how are you feeling?
You pretty much stole exactly what I was gonna say. I'd rather have some fights than no fights personally. Even though sometimes a break is nice because usually the first card afterwards is usually decent. But hey, these type of cards, look wise, not the greatest. Could it overperform? There's always a chance of that. But besides that, we're gonna break it down and we're gonna give you our points.
Absolutely. So we'll jump right into it. First fight of the night, we've got Muhammad Usman against Thomas Peterson, low level heavyweight fight. Joey, as always, we will start with you.
I have one rule: never bet low level heavyweights. That's one of my number one rules I do. If anyone's been watching for a long time, I usually pick Muhammad Usman. He's athletic as hell. He has a decent jab. He's not great everywhere, but he's decent enough for the most. Thomas Peterson came in, fought Jamal Pogues, which I'll say this, me and Drake almost switched our pick to Jamal. And I told him that, and I wish I did. Um, but one thing I'll say is just going back to watching Jamal fight, Peterson was still in the face. He was trying to get things going for his offense, which it wasn't the best. But did he get some takedowns? Yeah, he got some takedowns.
You got a
You look
takedown.
at, huh?
You got a takedown.
Hey, the wrestler got a takedown.
Yeah, one
One
for
thing I've seen
six.
from Usman, he's never been tested in the wrestling at heavyweight yet. No one's really tried to take him down. I don't know why. Outside the UFC, he was taken down. The dude got on top, kept punching him. Could Thomas Peterson do that? He is the better wrestler, yes. Usman doesn't have the volume of Pogues, but he does keep it low volume. As a whole, I'm looking to probably fade this fight. But if you're looking for maybe a value for a guy that can maybe get wrestling going, it's Peterson for DFS purposes. I almost want to go dog or pass, so I'm gonna go Peterson. I think maybe he can actually get some wrestling in. UFC jitters. It happens the first fight. Is this slightly more step up competition? Just a bit, but outside of one fight where Usman knocked out a guy who should naturally be a 185er and Zach Pawaga, which I picked a couple times. I feel stupid about, but I think there's a chance Peterson could wrestle and get some takedowns.
I don't like this fight at all. Um,
But I'm fading.
I
I'm fading though because I think this
I'm
fight could
yeah,
be a
no,
split
I'm
decision.
fading it for DFS, for all intents and purposes. But I do think that Usman is the better fighter here, and I don't see Peterson getting it to the mat. He's also facing a 5 inch reach advantage, which is gonna, always causes issues. So I've got Usman. I don't like it, but I do think Usman wins this fight 9 times out of 10.
But this is a fight I'm not touching though. If I need to get value, okay, maybe, but as a bet, don't do it.
So we're split on this one. I've got the favorite in Usman. Joey's got the dog in Peterson. Next up, we've got Luana Carolina against Lucy Pudilova. And there's a lot of this fight can go either way. I really think that it can. Um, I have Luana Carolina to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Pudilova pull something out. Um, you look at her record, and yeah, she's lost 6 of her last 7 fights, so it's not pretty. But Carolina, just her lack of volume sometimes really worries me in a fight where Pavlova's constantly going to be moving. And if she does happen to get this to the mat, it could cause issues for Carolina. But this is another one I'm going to probably fade for DFS. I don't see a high score coming out of it, but I do have Carolina winning.
So the crazy thing is, originally beginning of the week, this fight was listed at 135. Now it's back down to 125. So maybe that's an advantage for Carolina because she naturally fights at 25. Pudilova usually tends to fight up at times. Maybe there'd be a cardio dump, maybe, but I think I am picking Carolina though. I think she'll have maybe the bigger moments, but I think this is a stay away fight without a finish of a sort. Usually the 82, 8,000 fight does tend to borderline to an extent, but no, I'm fading. Like This fight just looks like whoever wins is gonna score like in the mid-70s.
I agree. So both of us are on the favorite in Luana Carolina. Next up, we have one of my favorite fights to target. For DFS, we got Loic Radzhabov going against Trey Ogden. And Joey, how you feeling about this one?
I actually like Loic a lot. I was on him his last fight, and there are some people that were very high on the debuter of Abdul Rahim and Al Sawabi. Was it Al Sawabi? Yeah, Al Sawabi.
Mm-hmm.
And Loic, everyone's like, okay, what's Loic cardio gonna look after round one? His cardio looked pretty decent for the most part. It was a back and forth brawl at one point, and round three, he just caught him on the chin, flatlined him. Ogden, sometimes I can't get Ogden fights right, but I think I was on Ogden his last fight versus Kurt. And the one thing that does scare me, at least early, Ogden does allow forward pressure, and you always end up seeing Ogden back on the cage. You don't want to do that against Loic because Loic will end up teeing off. I know Ogden hasn't been knocked out yet. Could it happen eventually? Maybe, possibly, because Loic does have good power, but Loic's also a good wrestler. He could try to throw an overhand and shoot and take a blast double. I'm gonna end up being on Logan here with more upside. I think he can definitely rack up some takedowns, get Ogden on his back for control time, and I think he'll win the overall striking exchanges.
Trying to find where Al-Shwati made his debut. Trying to
I
find
don't
the
know on what
article.
fight card. Wait, I can probably tell you in about 2 seconds. It's on
I know which one
top.
it was. It was in March on March 2nd. I'm just trying to find the article for it. Okay, I found it. Yeah, I mean, even then, I said that I wasn't sold on him. His competition hadn't been great. His takedown defense hasn't been tested, and I was all over Radzhabov in that fight. So, and I'm all over him again. I think that Radzhabov is one of the best plays on the slate, especially at his price, because I'm pretty sure he's relatively cheap.
8,400.
Yeah, 8,400. I think he smashes 100 in this one.
So I'll say
Ogden
this
is a
after you're done.
one-dimensional fighter.
One thing I noticed, and I've noticed this is going back because I was doing my research. You look at like Kareem Al Sawabi. He won the Contender Series fight, but guess what? He was a dog in that fight. I went back to like, you know what? I want to see if there's a rhythm. I want to see if I can actually do it going forward. Um, Ribeiro, big ass dog in his Contender Series fight, and he's not really doing shit in the UFC. Maybe Sawabi changes that. I'm not trying to go off one fight, but I've noticed if you're a big dog in the Contender Series, you win. Usually doesn't transfer too well the first fight. That's what I've seen so far. It's random, but that's what I just realized. But yeah, could Ogden somehow survive first 7.5, 8 minutes and maybe get a sub? He's always live for a sub. He's a good submission guy. He has his own decent power, but I like Loic. I've been on Loic. I think the only fight I wasn't on Loic was against Rebecca, which that's a different story. But yeah, I think Loic 8,400 in a finish, he'll definitely cruise it. And I think with takedowns control, because he does allow his opponent to get up. You telling me maybe he can look at maybe getting like what, maybe 5 takedowns, 6 takedowns in the decision? Hit or miss, maybe?
If not more,
Yeah, if not more.
because Ogden is going to welcome any type of ground game.
Yep.
So both of us are on the favorite in Reds above. Next up, we have another fight I like to target. It's Miranda Maverick against Dion Barbosa. Barbosa struggled in her debut. I don't care what they say. Ernesto Caracate won that fight.
Yep.
And now she's going against somebody who's a ranked fighter and is levels and levels above her. Miranda Maverick is going to make her look like a fool, and she's just going to completely dominate her.
So the only thing I said about this fight, which my pick is Maverick before, I don't want anybody to think that I'm going down a hole, going Barbosa, because I'm not. Only thing I would say is I give Barbosa credit. She has power in her hands, but she's wild. And I think she knows she can get wild because if somebody clinches, she has good judo. She's like, okay, clinch with me. I'm gonna judo toss the shit out you. And she has her own good grappling as a whole. But like I said, she didn't beat Ernesta. I was on Ernesta that fight. I thought I won 2-1 on the decision, but hey, fight's over. she's also a short nose replacement for this fight because it was supposed to be Tracy Cortez and Maverick.
Mhm.
And now that fight I was excited for. Um, I only have one true worry about this fight.
I have no
What
worries about
if
this fight.
no, I only have one true worry, and this is it. I think Maverick wins either way because I think her Muay Thai striking is a lot better. She can mix in, get some kicks, tire her ass out. My only worry is, what if she is worried about just, okay, this girl ideally is going to try to Uriah Hall me. She's going to try to clinch up and pull guard. Can Maverick win, control on top? Yeah, she probably, I don't know who's stronger. They're both pretty strong as a whole, but Maverick's actually the smaller fighter, which I didn't know until I actually looked at it. I was like, dang, Barbosa, you the bigger fighter? But I think maybe she'll try to play it safe a little bit. Maybe not rush a takedown because I think maybe she'll try to take out the lead leg a little bit so Barbosa can't really go in and shoot or try to tie up clinch control. But I do think Maverick's gonna win this fight. DFS, I know you're more confident than I am. I'm getting a weird feeling on this fight. I still think Maverick wins. I think what's she at, like 91, 92?
Well, she's too expensive for GPP, but I love her for cash.
Yeah, cash game. I think she's safe. In a cash game, let's say if it's my example, I think she'll still get a couple takedowns. I think she'll definitely have more striking numbers. Realistically, let's say if she wins a decision, how I'm thinking, maybe 85 to 88 points, maybe in the decision, possibly hit or miss. But if you're the confident in what you're thinking for cash, you're thinking takedown. Like honestly, I don't think she's going to need many takedowns in this fight. I think she can actually hold Barbosa on the ground. So it wouldn't shock me if it's like a 3 to 4 takedown type of fight where it's more position and control than actually doing any type of sort of damage, like we've seen with some of these grappling matches. But I do like Maverick to win though, and I like her more as a betting
Yeah,
parlay.
Maverick doesn't take fights off, dude.
No,
You
she
don't
don't.
got you don't got to worry about output from her. She'll always have it.
I like her as a parlay piece though.
So both of us are on the favorite in Miranda Maverick to pull this one out. Next up, we have a fight that you need to target for GPP
Yep.
contests. Brian Boom Kelleher going against Cody Gibson. And Joey, how you feeling about this one?
One thing I would say is if anyone's looking at betting lines before I make my pick, the betting lines this week are absolute bonkers. There's no insane big favorite. Like most cards, you'll see like a -400, -500.
It's a close
I
card.
believe Gibson is the biggest favorite right now. Outside, I think Maverick is like the second one from what I saw before. Um, Cody Gibson's 1-5 in the UFC, but you can see the people who he actually fought. Kelleher, he's 8-8. Fought the better names, been in the UFC a bit longer. His durability has taken a big step down, and if you told me if it wasn't his durability being the issue, I think he's an insanely live dog. Because one problem that Gibson does have is his submission defense. And what's Keller good at? He's very good at submissions. But I think within the first 2 rounds, I think Gibson's volume is going to be a problem. He does have the 5-inch reach advantage. So I think the jab's going to be there. I think some body work will be there. I think within the first 2 rounds, Gibson's probably going to get him out.
Yeah, I had taken a lot of Kelleher since I started writing and we started doing this show. And over the last 3 fights that he's been finished in, 2 by submission and 1 by knockout, it's just really, really hard to trust him. Um, I've got Gibson. I don't like it. I do think
I
he
don't
won
either.
that. I do think he won that Brad Katona fight in which he outstruck him, but
Yep.
then he came out and he lost a clear-cut decision against Miles John, which it's Miles
Not a fan.
John who plays. He's very defensive fighter. So it's a tough call.
Neither one
Kelleher is
belongs
still
to me.
Kelleher's still live as a dog, but I do like Gibson in this fight. I wouldn't touch him for any type of betting though. I
Only thing
just
I'll say, and I want people to listen to this going forward, after this fight for Gibson, bet against him next fight. He's going to lose. I'm saying that right now. -200 favorite against a guy that apparently I heard by medical wise that gave him an opinion saying, hey, I think you should stop fighting. I'm sorry, but when I heard that, I'm like, no. I think Gibson, I'm probably going to play Gibson by TKO, KO as a prop. I don't know what it's at.
that's the best one to do. Yeah.
You might get Since the line's not too big, you might get it at plus money a little bit, but that's more I'm looking at it. But I think Gibson as a decent parlay piece is decent, but
Plus 275.
that's his money line.
That's
Oh,
win
KO
by
prop.
knockout.
Oh, I might have to sprinkle that down.
So both of us are on the favorite, Cody Gibson. We don't really like this fight, but it is something to target for GPP because one of them is likely to get finished. Next up, we have the Young Lee going against Hyder Emil. And there is a lot of people and a lot of money coming in on Young Lee, and for good reason. His striking looked crisp and very solid in his fight against Blake Builder. But I am still not there. I like Hyder Emil's ability to move, to dance, and so long as he doesn't get hurt, I think he wins this fight. He throws more, he throws harder. I like Hyder Emil as the dog. Um, and I am absolutely going to fire him up in GPP contests.
So I'll tell you this right now. Young Lee. I was on his opponent, his debut, and I thought Young Lee lost that fight.
I wasn't.
You're on Young Lee. I was on I think the guy changed his name to Yuzua, whatever the hell his name is, but
He's
I had him and I thought he won that fight. He had plenty of takedowns, he had control, he had his moments on the feet, but then we both were on Lee versus Builder, right? I know I was on Lee versus Builder.
no, I'm pretty sure I was on Builder for that fight.
Okay. I just thought Lee was the more athletic guy there. And this one, I think there's a chance the first few minutes is going to be fireworks. I really do. I think both guys going to have their moments. And I know Emil's a bit older. He's only 9-0, but like he showed what a good camp with Gilbert Melendez. I think they're going to really, honestly, one thing I would actually do in this fight, work the body shots. I think he could get some kind of body shot TKO in this fight for a win. I really do. The more because Lee stands up high with his guard high. Hyder's not really much of a kicker to the body, but he does work in kicks and does try to end combinations to the body to slow you down. I actually do like Hyder a lot. At first, I thought I was going to go Lee earlier. Then more and more I watched. If you watch, like everyone's like, "Oh, Lee has a 10-second knockout, the other one knockout." I'm like, okay, but he was facing bumps.
Well, and see, people forget that Hyder Emil first fought in Bellator and then he fought in LFA. It's
Yep.
not like he was facing bums his entire career. He came from two prestigious promotions.
But I think this is a fight, definitely target. I'm more on Hyder and Mill for the value because I think he's gonna be in your face, and the only way you're gonna beat him, you got to knock him the fuck out. And from what I've seen so far, does he get hit from times? Yes, he can. But until I actually see him get finished, I'm going for the value, and I think he's very live for a knockout again.
As do I. So both of us are on the considerable dog, Hyder Emil. Next up, we have Duho Choi going against Bill Algeo. It's not one of my favorite fights in the card, but Duho Choi did look good in his return after almost 4 years last time out. Joey, how you feeling about this one?
So as you said, he looked good against Kyle Nelson. Went to a draw. I thought he beat Kyle Nelson. I really did. I thought he won. Bill Algeo fought Kyle Nelson on the fight card I went to. Could you say it was a premature stoppage? Yeah. Was he rocked? Yeah. I'll say that for a fact. He was definitely rocked, but he wasn't out. And one thing I actually saw, Algeo apparently said that he didn't even know he was fighting Kyle Nelson for the longest time. So he felt unprepared. But hey, that's your job. You gotta look at your shit. I can never get an Algeo fight right. I can. I was on Algeo versus Nelson. Nelson got him. I was on Nelson versus Algeo versus Feely. Feely won. So I usually can't get Algeo fights right. So if anything, if I'm picking whoever, go the opposite. So I usually can't get his fights right. But I actually do like the value of Choi. He held himself well against Nelson. He had definitely more moments in the striking than Algeo did. But if Algeo's smart, I think he can get this fight to the ground, and he'll easily have the advantage on the ground. Choi, all three of his wins in the UFC are by round one knockout, and we just saw Algeo get absolutely his bell rung in round one versus Nelson, and I think Choi has more power. And from what I saw, he's actually in good shape and he's looking ripped. I actually like the value for Choi.
Yeah, we're gonna be opposite on that one.
Not my most confident, but hey, I
I
like
think
value.
everything that, aside from power, everything that Duho Choi does, Algio does better. There's not a single thing that I think that he does better than Algio, except for having more power. Uh, but it is a toss-up fight. I do think, if anything, the odds should be closer to a pick 'em.
I agree.
This should probably be the 8,000, 8,200 fight on the card, to be honest. But
Mm-hmm.
it is not, and this is where we are at. So I do like Algio in this one. I do actually think that he's a great play for DFS as well. Um,
You might get lower ownership because
only,
everyone's
and
going to
I
Choi.
only say that because it's not because he scores well in a lot of his fights. It's more so that Duho Choi is very aggressive and he could get caught out real quick. So this is a good fight to target for DFS, simply because there is probably going to be a finish in this fight.
One prop I'll give you, even though I am not on the Algio side, Algio round 2 or 3. That could be very live because Choi is very active round 1. And hey, you might even get Algio plus money if he lost round 1. So that's a decent live bet. And that's a live bet I may look at. Just a little heads up.
All right, so we are split on that one. I've got the favorite in Algio. Joey has the dog in Choi. Next up, we've got Cody Durden against Bruno Silva. I have taken Durden in almost every single one of his fights, and I have been right in almost every one of his fights, whether that be a win or a loss. I am not taking Cody Durden in this fight. I do love Bruno Silva in this fight. And there's a lot of reasons for it. So Durden takes advantage of guys that have weak takedown defense and weak control games. Um, and that's what he does. He chains takedowns on people that he knows he can control. Problem with Bruno Silva is he's a credentialed grappler and he's got very good BJJ. And that's how Cody Durden generally loses. He loses against guys who have a better ground game than him. Um, and more than likely, that's where this is going to end up. And I think that Silva submits him.
So shit, I was low key hoping you're gonna be on Durden because I know you're pretty high on him. I'm also on Silva. So one thing I'll say this: the odds, I can see why they're close. I firmly do because if it goes to decision, I think Durden is the one that probably got his wrestling going, got his control going, had more takedowns and control time. That's how I see. If it's decision, it's Durden. But if you told me the under 2.5 hits, it's gonna be Bruno Silva all damn day, and it's not even gonna be close because he's the more dangerous guy as a whole in the fight. I like Silva. I know he doesn't train with Henry Cejudo no more. I believe I saw something he trains at American Top Team now in Florida. So you could definitely know he's getting the looks for guys or wrestlers coming in. And I think at some point it wouldn't shock me if he caught Durden, rocked him a little bit. Durden shot a sloppy takedown, and as you said, I think Silva does get a submission.
It's generally how he loses. So it's definitely a solid play, and it's also a really good bet. Both of us are on the slight dog in Bruno Silva. And next up, we have Kurt Hollabach going against Keenan Krzyzewski. And how did you pronounce his name the first time?
So I think it was like Kalen. I got the first name right. That wasn't the problem. I think I said Kruchewski or whatever the hell I said the last name the first time I saw him when he fought Elvis Brenner. But
That's funny. So, anyways, Joey, which side of the fight are you on in this one?
so I'll say this. I think Kruchewski or Kutreski. Jeez, I keep saying the freaking name wrong. So I'm gonna call him by his first name.
Just go Kanan.
Kanan. I'll go Kanan. Sorry, you're probably not gonna watch this video, but if you are, I do apologize. Um, I think Kenyon, he has more ways to potentially win. I like his Muay Thai striking. He has good combinations with kicks. And I know Kurt does come forward with volume with straight jabs and combos, but I think Kanan's the more well-rounded. He has strong jiu-jitsu, which so does Kurt, but and usually both guys have both overall good finish rates. Could someone get finished in this fight? It is very possible someone's going to get finished in this fight. And everyone's talking about, oh, but Kenyon got knocked the F out versus Brenner. Look, he took that fight on short notice coming off the Contender Series because it was supposed to be Robovics that was supposed to fight Elvis Brenner that night. And the only reason why I know that because I was in Tennessee that night. Um, so I'm not going to necessarily take too much from that fight except like, holy shit, I hope your guard is a bit higher That's all I'm gonna say going forward. But I'm going Kenyon. I think he'll be the minute winner. I think Kurt's gonna have some moments in this fight. And I thought I heard somebody actually tell me that Kenyon actually had some time training with the fighting nerds. You taught me, don't bet against the fighting nerds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I didn't
Damn
know that. I
straight.
thought he was in another camp. Someone's like, yo, because I almost made Kenyon. If you guys don't know, you'll see it in the next fight coming up. I have a thing called I plant my flag. I'm throwing 3 straight, 2 straight dogs. I almost made Kenyon my plant flag, but I was like, I want to see him get a win first. I really do. I want to see him get a win first. But he does have decent power, better mix up of strikes, and he is a damn near good finisher. 13 out of 15 wins are by finish. And I think he has the better cardio. He's been 4 and 5 rounds outside the UFC. Maybe not the best competition, but hey, you tell the guy can go later in fights. But yeah, I got Kenyon now.
Keenan.
Kenyon. Jesus. I
You're
was talking all
terrible
kinds
at
of shit.
this.
No, everyone, I was talking mad shit before this video started. Like, look, I've gotten better with my names.
No, you haven't.
For some reason, I can say the OV names with no problem. But
If
for
we
some
want,
reason,
if we go through and watch all of our videos, you should see how many mistakes you make with
okay,
names.
look,
It's
maybe
funny.
towards the end of the year, for an idea. We'll see, but that's a lot of work. That's a lot of videos going back to. But I want if Drake made a video of me trying to pronounce these names, but I want to see a lot of likes though. I want to make sure we get comments and likes on a
Oh,
video.
that's so funny.
It'll be hilarious. I can guarantee. I'll post it on
You could
Twitter.
go
I'll get
pick
a
a
lot of
list of fighters and have you
yeah.
pronounce their name.
I'm telling you, it's not. Tell me it's not a bad idea though. It's funny as fuck.
All right. So, anyways, I am also on Krzyzewski, mainly because he is better everywhere, and I can't trust Holloway. But there is going to be a finish in this fight. You do need to target this fight, and yes, it could go either way. Kurt Holloway is dangerous everywhere, and it's just going to matter of how prepared is Krzyzewski for this fight. But I do like him a lot. I think he is more well-rounded. He does have the better cardio. I think he's more dangerous, and I think that debut is just going to be like, okay, I came in short notice. Get rid of that. Here we go.
And
So,
he had moments in the fight, short notice too.
so I am very big on him this week. I know there are some guys, specifically one of the RotoWire cappers, that is going the other way, and I think that he's done for it. But it's neither here nor there. So both of us are on the favorite in Krzyzewski. Next up, we have Joey's planted flag fight. Steve Garcia against Sungwoo Choi. And too bad you're not first because I am. I was on his. So actually, both of us have been on Steve Garcia for a while. He has slowly become one of my favorite fighters to watch because every fight that he's in is entertaining. He's got a lot of power, and he's smart. You don't find a lot of fighters with good IQ anymore. It's kind of rare. His fight that he did get knocked out in, I kind of chalked it away because Mahashat has seemingly been terrible since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was more just a lucky shot. But Steve Garcia is one of my favorite plays on the slate. I know Joey feels the same exact way. Uh, I absolutely think he ends this early. How much was he on there? He's
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 8,600.
another fighter just at 8,600. I think that that's gold. So fire him up everywhere, Joey. I know you're in the same spot, but let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah, so there's a theme that I pretty much went off of, which I knew I was picking Steve all along. But what made me feel more confident, I'm on a 3-fight, pick fight win streak. He's on a 3-fight win streak. So I'm like, why not go with the dude that has some of my favorite style and throwing hands to make it 4 straight for both? He has good power. If he really wants to, he hasn't really shown it inside the UFC. Outside the UFC, he's shown he has actual takedowns if he needs it. He's not this one-dimensional, oh, I'm just going to throw hands and get wild. He has wrestling in his back pocket if he decides to use it. Could he maybe mix it up? Possibly, but do I really see it? No. One thing I will say real quick. I always make these new videos promoting who my Planet Flag fighter is. I did it for Steve. He shared it on Instagram. He even messaged me, and I said, "Hey, thanks for the share, brother. Ready to see you get fired up." And all he did was pretty much like, "Hey, he's ready to throw the fucking hands." I'm fucking lit. Steve is gonna win within the first 2 rounds, and I'll tell you this why. If you're telling me that Wu Choi got his ass dropped against Trezano when they exchanged in the pocket. Guess what? Garcia has more power. And this fight is actually at 45, where Garcia is 2-0 at 145. There's times where he takes 55 fights and 45 fights. He's going to knock Choi out within the first 2 rounds. And it wouldn't even shock me if it's round 1. And I'm playing Garcia by knockout, by the way.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if what was that? Oh, so I had a 2 leg written down. It was Garcia by knockout and maybe Hyder or Mill by knockout. You could probably get some juicy odds for that shit because
Yeah,
Emil's the dog.
yeah, for sure. So both of us are on the slight favorite, Steve Garcia, which he should be a bigger favorite if we're
Easily.
speaking honestly here.
Discount at
Next,
8,600.
next up, we are on Brad Tavares against Jung Young Park. And Joey, how you see on this one?
If anyone that doesn't know, I'll tell you my pick after this, but I'm going the turtle. I'm going Mr. Jung Young Park. And he was my plan C if things ever get worse, if the card got messy. He was my third choice for Planet Flag. Tavares, he's slowing down a little bit. Park, I'm not saying he's a big killer, but he does have decent pop in his hands. He has his own decent. He's pretty much good everywhere, but not great anywhere. He can clinch you up, take you down. He can hold you. He can stand in the pocket and exchange with you. I like Park to win. I'm more thinking probably this is a money line piece in a smaller 2 or 3 leg. But as a fight, depending, I think Tavares is going to stay in the fight unless he gets finished, which I don't know if I see a finish in this fight. So at 9,000, I don't know if Park pays it off unless he does mix in takedowns and control. Because I think this fight's going to be a pick and pop type fight. And then Park just maybe holds Tavares in the clinch. But as a whole, I don't think I'm playing it for DFS. More of a better, maybe Park by decision. As a whole, I'm more thinking of. But if you think Tavares is live, which I don't, because he's shown that his durability is slowly going down more. But like I said, I like Park, though.
Yeah, Tavares has been knocked out in 2 of the last 3 fights. He's got 5 total knockout losses in his career. And he definitely seems to be slowing down at his, age. He's now 36. Not that Park is really that much younger. He's 33, but I think Park is just now the much better overall fighter. And he's called the Turtle for a reason. He's just good. He's solid everywhere. He doesn't take a lot of damage typically. He doesn't allow people to square up on him. And I can see him taking this down to the ground, and I don't think Tavares will be able to get back up. It's going to be a big problem for him if it happens. So I really like Park in this fight. And I do agree that it will probably go to a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Tavares get knocked out again.
So one thing I noticed about Tavares, I can't tell you the exact year, but it was a long time ago when he was on the Ultimate Fighter season. It was the Liddell and Tito. And that was the year Court McGee won. And Court McGee just finally got out of the game. So now seeing Tavares still here, it just shows that he's a tough vet. So I'll give him credit for that. But when it's your time to go, I think it's your time to go.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm going to take a moment before we move on to the main event that the odds have flipped for Silva and Durden. Silva is now the favorite on most books.
Well, let me check. Last time I saw it was like minus. What was it? Yesterday? I saw Durden minus 115, Silva minus 105.
I'm looking at it right now. It's minus 117 on this one. But anyways, we are both on the favorite Jung Young Park in this fight. Next up, we have the main event. We got Amanda Lemos going against Verna Jandiroba. My take for Verna will not change. I will continue to ride that beast because that's exactly what she is. She has a very different type of game and skill set than most fighters do, and it's very impressive to watch. I don't know how she does it, but she becomes a fucking face hugger from Alien and just clings to and she does not let go. And she's got a surprising amount of pop in her hands. I think this is another fight where if Lemos cannot get that knockout within the first, well, however
20.
long it takes Verna to get to her, I think she's going to get completely dominated everywhere because once Verna's there, she's there and she doesn't let go. I think Lemos gets submitted early.
So the funny thing is, I remember I brought up seeing Bill Algeo during the AC card. Verna was also on the card. She fought Lupe Godinez. And I thought I picked Godinez in that fight. I thought maybe she was going to be the smarter fighter to keep it on the feet because as a whole, she does have good overall takedown defense. But as you just stated, and it was a perfect fucking analogy. You said almost like the alien. I was going to say that almost like an anaconda. Once she gets you wrapped, you're pretty much not going anywhere. And I had a perfect view of seeing that. And I'm like, this is why I really usually can't pick a Jandiroba fight correctly, which I can't remember the last time I did pick a fight of hers right. Um, as you said, I think it's either Lemos early. Maybe if Jandiroba can get the takedown early, Lemos definitely has the overall better advantages on the feet, but Jandiroba does have her own power, but it's not overall accurate. It's either Lemos by knockout, probably win the first 2 rounds, or probably Verna within rounds. I'll say rounds. I'll be smart. Rounds 3, 4, or 5 submission. I'll be shocked to see the judges on this fight. So this is a fight you definitely pick your side on. If you think Lemos stops a takedown early and absolutely just loads up her hand and knocks her out, it's probably possible. Maybe she can knock her eye straight, possibly. Who knows? But would it shock me if she just tries to get overly aggressive? Jandiroba gets the back early and just says, "Yeah, you're not going nowhere," and then potentially submits her? No. So watch. I'm gonna pick Verna, and she's gonna freaking lose, and you're gonna be
Mhm.
pissed that I picked her. But
Nah, she ain't gonna lose.
I'm actually almost all week I've been undecided on this fight, but I gotta pick just for you people. I'm actually gonna go Jandiroba by submission. But pick your side for DFS. That's all I will tell you. Drake plays more
Nah,
lines than I do, so I think
just
he
going
might
Jandiroba.
go. I think he's gonna have more Jandiroba, but he might sprinkle some Lemos though. But
I am fully confident that Jandiroba will win this fight. I will not take any Lemos.
ooh, wait. So if you're telling me if you had a Planet Flag fighter, boom,
No, if I had a Planet Flag fighter, it would actually be on Bruno Silva
ooh,
because I believe in taking dogs.
hey, I took 2 straight dogs,
I
bro.
think, yeah, you're welcome because I yelled at you for not taking a dog.
And then I also messaged you, I messaged Howard, and I messaged somebody else in the group. I was like, pick one. I was like, give me a number 1 or 2. And guess what? Most people picked the right number. And it was dog. I'm like, all right. And guess
I
what? 2 of those dogs
uh,
were the easiest
the way that I
picks.
see it is, if you're gonna plant a flag, it shouldn't be a favorite. It should be on a dog because
Favorite
it's
trust.
a favorite. A favorite's supposed to win. I mean, it's
Yeah. But this card was a little bit harder for me because I was late to the breakdown and I was like, okay, I saw a fight. And Garcia and me have something in common. 3 straight and we can make it 4. And then I got the big one coming up after this,
yeah.
which
You better
where
get your
I'm
flag ready for it.
absolutely excited about.
But yeah, so we are both on Verna Jandiroba on this one. That wraps up this card. Next week's card is going to be pretty amazing. It is UFC 304.
Mm-hmm.
It's in England, isn't it? Or is it here?
England.
Okay. So, I mean, I know it's all the English fighters. So, you got Leon and Aspinall, Patty. So, lots of big names, lots of big
Patty
fighters.
the baddie.
It's going to be a good fight or a good card. So, looking forward to that. Joey, unless you got anything else for this one, we will wrap it up.
One thing I will say, at least for DFS, I'm looking at, like I said, these type of cards. I do better on fight nights. Drake is a million times better than me as a whole when it comes to pay per view. He does a lot better on pay per view. Somehow I get lucky on my fight nights. That's how most of my wins are. Fight nights cards. Drake is the pay per view guy, and my buddy Gabe. I'll give Gabe
I,
credit because
I go like, I usually only get one fight wrong, if that, on those
DFS as a whole.
cards. It's crazy. But, alrighty. Yeah. Next week is going to be a really good card. This card will hopefully at least be entertaining. I don't think there's going to be a ton of finishes, but we'll see. As
5 p.m. start time.
Yep, it is a late card. As always, we appreciate you watching, and we will catch you next week.